Hello, everyone. Welcome to It's Sybil. I am Sybil Wilkes, and welcome to two of my favorites here. The girls are all here tonight. Hello, hello, hello.
Yeah.
And a,
Hi.
and a special episode. It's like, wait, do we already work through another astrology sign? Ms. Astrology is joining us today, and we're going. And I'm really excited about what we're going to do. So hang on there. And Aprylete, welcome back. We've missed you. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I've missed you guys as well. I was out of town last week in Oklahoma.
I'm sorry.
Definitely a place to be.
Definitely, like, what's in Oklahoma for me? I was doing a video
What was
shoot,
his name?
but
That was the only reason why I went to Oklahoma the first time. It was a dude, and so that's how that worked out. So you were working.
yes, I was working on like a Native American shoot because November is Native American Heritage Month. So I was out there doing a shoot for that.
Awesome, awesome. Always working, young lady.
Yes,
Fun.
ma'am.
Always. Ms. Astrology, as I said, I
Hi.
wanted people to tune in and to stay with us because I think we have an interesting segment featuring your skills
Great.
and
Thank
your
you.
your knowledge. And so we will talk about that during the what's really going on segment. How are you? How's everything?
Really good. I'm so much better. Even though it's Scorpio season and it can be such a dark time, I feel Sag season approaching, so I'm doing okay.
Oh, okay. So that gives you hope.
Hope is on the horizon, you guys.
Okay. And we can use
In
that
a few more
a
weeks.
lot,
Absolutely.
a lot.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. So that's very cool. All right, let's move to the What You Need to Know newsletter. And Aprilette is our latest contributor to the What You Need to Know newsletter, and she talks about mental health and wellness. Our other contributors include Coy Malone, who is social justice, and Quinn Townsend Riley, who is our LGBTQ plus contributor, and as along with her big brother Cameron is our also a political contributor, and all of these fine young people are adding their brilliance and their talents to the What You Need to Know newsletter. It's absolutely free. We would love for you to subscribe. Please go to sibylwilkes.com, and you will see on a monthly basis. Ms. Astrology also contributes as we move into the next astrological sign. And I also want to talk about your particular story, Aprilette. We don't normally do book reviews, but I was intrigued by the story that you did about a new book called My Voice is My Superpower. What is that?
Yes. I thought this was such a really feel good type of piece and story. So, this book is authored by a Black mental health therapist and her 8-year-old daughter.
Nice.
So, the therapist, her name is Michelle Davy, and she has came across a lot of women in her practice who have dealt with trauma and low self-esteem and dealing with
Mm,
relationship issues and things like that. And after seeing all of this, she thought it would be a great idea, and she was very empowered to start from the root of it. Like, talk to these little girls and see if they can discover and rediscover what it is to use their voices and to be empowered, and kind of start at that younger age. So, with
mm,
that and the inspiration of her daughter, they came up with this great book. And along with the book, they said that this is going to be something that's going to be reckoning the younger generation. So in
nice.
this book, you can definitely see girls empowered with features of illustrations and positive affirmations and Bible script verses and just a lot of great modeling behavior.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that this is so important because when I was younger, I was gifted a book just like this
Mm-hmm.
from my dad. And it was so amazing, and it really like changed the trajectory of my middle school up into my high school years. And it just
Wow.
makes you feel empowered, and your voice does matter.
And what was that book? Do you remember?
Yeah, so I was literally trying to figure it out. It was called, I believe, like The Way of a Virtuous Woman, but it was for
Mm-hmm.
14 to 16-year olds. It was a self-taught book. It was, I know it had a purple cover. And I'm gonna text my dad and ask him what that book was. But it was such an amazing book, and it talked about body image and things like that. It talked about boys and just what to kind of like deal with when it came to friends at school and just like how to respond to different things. And I think that starting at a young age and letting young girls know who are growing into women that it's okay to stand up for yourself. It's okay to feel sad. It's okay to also feel happy at the same time, because we have emotions and hormones and things like that. That's a really, really good piece for the mental well-being to start at a young age.
That is awesome, man. I also recommend Jules from My Daddy, which was written by our own Yolanda Starks White. But I love this and finding your superpower. Does they say anything about inside and outside voices? Because that was always my issue. I always talk so loud. And my mother's like, you don't have anything such as a whisper. Everything is a stage whisper. And I didn't understand the concept of we don't have to share everything,
Yes.
with the whole room, like that.
And that's what the author was saying, Miss Davies. She said that being the loudest in the room doesn't always mean using a loud voice. It means that confidence in showing up and knowing that what you said matters.
Right. Right.
This is so funny to me because I know that Sybil is a Leo, and if Leo wants to be anywhere, it's on the stage. So for you to say a stage whisper,
right?
I'm like, that makes so much sense.
Yeah. They never needed a microphone for me or anything like that. It was like, just sit her there and she'll talk. And I was explaining to people last week that I do experience from shyness, and so I really have to kind of push myself up to do that, and that's okay. That's okay. That's all right. We love that. We absolutely love that. And see, they're not shy. Your dogs aren't shy at all. I absolutely love that. I love this book, and maybe we can get the author and her daughter on one time. I think that'll
be awesome.
That's just a delightful story. One of the other things we're also talking about, which we'll talk about in the future, is the November 8th elections, and the president took to the airwaves last night, and he spoke about the difficulties of keeping democracy alive in these times with all of the violence. He started out with the conversation about Nancy Pelosi, the attack on Nancy Pelosi's husband, Paul Pelosi, at their home in San Francisco, how this all came about, what the man had, and went through all of this. He also talked about the using the same words, Nancy, where's Nancy? This man used in breaking into the House and looking for the speaker. And as I mentioned in the story we did about this, eerily reminiscent of what happened on January 6th as the insurrectionists went to the speaker's office and ramshackled the office, and Nancy and the same words were used by those people. But he, is really stressing the fact that we have to fight for democracy, but and that also means that because we are fighting for democracy, we also have to be very cognizant of the fact that others are trying to take it away, and can't there be a way for us all to get along, in effect? And also talked about patience on the part of people in getting the results. Because everyone has said to a person, the results are not likely to happen, or not likely to come about the way they were in the old days. It could be days before we get the results of some of these elections, as it was in 2020 during the presidential election. You remember, it wasn't until Saturday after the Tuesday election that Georgia issued the report that he had won Georgia, that Biden and Kamala Harris had won Georgia, and that made the difference and flipped the country flipped for Joe Biden, if you will. So there were all these discussions last night. And as we'll talk about in tomorrow's newsletter, not everybody is happy about the fact that that's how he chose. See?
Not happy at all.
Everybody's not happy. No, that's not your dog. I think that was Gucci that time. But not
that's my dog.
Oh, okay. That wasn't Gucci. Okay, I'm sorry. uh, the country as a rule, as a whole, is not happy. Democrats, saying you needed to go out there and talk about some other things, including what's really on the hearts and the minds, and the kitchen table talk of everyday Joes and Josies, if you will, talking about the economy, talking about women's rights to their bodies, and things like that. So it's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out. I was glad that the president took, because it is something that we do need to talk about, because it does, because about a month ago, it really came to the polling that number one was people's fear that our democracy was not going to last, and that we were going to be challenged by those who are not so democratic in that small d, in their ways of thinking, and their approval, their kind of love, adornship of Putin and North Korea, Lil Kim, and folks like that. And so it's really kind of scary where this country is going. And so that was in his mind. I wish that he would talk more about the economics of it all, how much it costs for us to, I promise you, yesterday, how much it costs to buy a gallon of gas. Yesterday, I passed by a place where I go to buy my Powerball tickets, and the gas was $2.99, $3 a gallon. When I went back last night to buy my Powerball tickets and praying, please God, and obviously he's like, you got more important things to pray for. But the gas had gone from $3 a gallon to $4.03.
Jesus.
Wow.
That's not something that the president acknowledges, and and want him to understand how important this is, and to tell people, well, if we're going to keep doing things for this country, I need the support of these people in the House, and I need the support of these people in the U.S. Senate, as well as the governors.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
So, we'll see what happens. But like the Lord told me when I didn't win the Powerball last night, you got more important things to pray for. So we'll see what happens with that. Yeah, absolutely. Also in the social justice segment, Coy Malone talks about a Black family demanding an investigation into a fire into the Flint, Michigan Fire Department after a deadly fire took the lives of their children, and said that they are blaming and they want them to investigate these two white firemen who did not do their due diligence in searching for these children in this fire. They lost the two children, two boys, in this fire in Flint, Michigan. As a Chicago fireman's daughter, that is like the worst thing you could ever hear, is that a fireman did not give everything to find these children and bring them out safely. And so there's a possibility of a lawsuit. These men were originally suspended without pay, and then the fire commissioner changed it, and they were suspended with pay.
Wow. That sounds like a little vacation.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
No,
exactly.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. Wow.
For sure. It is, it's always tragic. People are not supposed to bury their children. We know that.
Right.
That is not the way of, and the cycle of life. But in this case, to have their children die in such a violent and tragic way, just like we were talking about day before about the violence on our streets. And it is, it's just a deadly.
It's heartbreaking.
It is. It really is heartbreaking. And so that is what is in our newsletter. In addition to the newsletter, we those things that we just talked about, we also have the Little Known Black History Fact. We have our HBCU Corner. We have Black and Fit, which our own Cherie White does a marvelous job with, and especially in giving people advice regarding yoga and our eating habits, and just makes me feel guilty and really bad every day when but it's for my own good, to try to change some habits that I have. And as I'm drinking my coffee, and she's like, green tea is better. So
one habit at a time.
you know what?
That's what I try to do.
That's what I say. I'm going to give up the drinking and the drugs, and then eventually,
I'll get to the caffeine and stuff. Right. Exactly.
I'll get to that.
The sugar, yeah.
So that is what is in the newsletter, as well as giving a birthday shout out to folks as well.
That's right.
And we do like doing that. And so let us move to what is trending. And this is what's really going on. And that's why we have asked Ms. Astrology to join us as we look at next week's elections.
Ooh.
And from an astrological standpoint. And so I asked her the question, what's in the stars for some of the candidates in the upcoming elections? And gave her a list of candidates of some of the contests that are in top of mind and also are making headlines in the news. Let's start with probably the most interesting election or campaign there for the U.S. Senate in Georgia regarding Reverend Raphael Warnock and Republican Herschel Walker.
Well, first the first thing I want to say is this midterm election is very important.
Mm-hmm.
And astrologically speaking as well, it is on the day of the full moon solar eclipse.
What does that mean?
This is actually a lot is going to be exposed. The moon is going to be very big and bright, but it's going to be eclipsed by the earth. So there's going to be we're not going to be able to see it as brightly as we normally would. So everything won't be as revealed as brightly, but the moon loves to be in Taurus. And with this being Scorpio season, Scorpio is a sign that is very much about joined power. Mm-hmm. So it's like, if you think of Libra first, you meet people, you socialize, you talk, you learn who's got money, who you want to make agreements with. Then once you make these agreements, then Scorpio says, okay, let's bind together. Either we join our resources, we get intimate with sex, we get married, something deeply bound. Mm-hmm. So this is a power election midterm. And with it being a full moon, this is going to be the end to certain people, a lot of people that are in power. Ooh. Now, very much so. Now, one thing that came up was there's a lot of Leo energy in the list that you gave me. There was quite a bit of Leo energy and not a lot of Scorpio energy. So first we had, so that's going to be a big deal. I also do think with Mars and Gemini, we need to not be arguing at the polling stations. Mm-hmm. This is big energy for arguments, fights, aggression at the polling stations. Mm-hmm. This is easily cross words, exchange of words. Mars rules guns, violence, fires, cutting, and Gemini rules our words. Gemini rules social gatherings and groups of people. So with Mars here right now, and it's retrograde, so it's weak. It's not able to keep itself together. Mm-hmm. So we really want to go into this mindful. If that means you put your headphones in and you listen to calming music so you're not talking to the people around you and getting into it with them, that's what you need to do.
So that can I say is very interesting. I choose to go to do early voting, and I picked amongst the early voting places I've gone for the last couple of cycles to a Presbyterian church.
Yes.
And it's very soothing. Yeah. Just in the event that, there is going to be, I found it to be a very soothing environment, and people don't talk a lot and not loud and all of that.
Absolutely.
And so that was.
It's so funny. I love astrology, you guys, because Sagittarius is the opposite of Gemini, and Sagittarius is the church. So it's like the opposite of all that Gemini energy would be to go to the church. So this makes me want to predict that anywhere that has schools where you go and vote at the school, that is going to be more likely to be an argument, because Gemini rules schools and that day-to-day kind of thing, to where we only go to church once a week, right? So this is like, if you can go to a church and can do your early voting there, that is going to be ideal. If you are going to go to the school, to the local elementary school, this is the younger schools, put your headphones in, zone out,
Watch
make
your
your mind
back.
up to go to what, and just make your mind up to be like above this. I'm above the petty argument. Even though it feels like I'm above, yes, just do that in your mind. Don't get caught up in like what's right around you, because we do have that potential on election day. And I think there's going to be a major transfer in power. Now, as far as Reverend Raphael Warnock and Herschel Walker, it's funny because I have to be honest, you guys, I get my news from Trevor Noah. Okay. Like,
no, this is really interesting. Okay. Good. I'm not mad at that.
Right. So I'm not like, I'm into it, but I'm kind of like lightheartedly into it. So I don't know a lot about what's going on, but I know when I watch Herschel Walker, before I even pulled his chart, I was like, he's delusional. Like there is something. And Aprylete, no offense to you, but he is a Pisces, and they tend to be the most delusional sign. They tend to be
Pisces men and Pisces women. I'm gonna just separate us two. That's okay.
That's right.
Now
there you
listen,
go.
they can also, Pisces is also very much a sign that can manifest and can really like magically kind of make things happen. But Herschel Walker's chart, and first I want to look at Reverend Raphael Warnock. This is very encouraging to me. He is a Leo sun. He's got Mercury in Leo. And so Leo is getting that opposition from Saturn. This looks like somebody who has really been fighting hard. He really believes in what he's doing. And I'm just being honest, you guys, I don't really know these people outside of the chart that I'm looking at right now.
Right. Yeah.
And it just seems like somebody, he is very proud of what he's done. He's very proud of, what he's bringing to this. And he's got that moon in Scorpio. So this is really a heartfelt thing for him. And if he doesn't win, he's going to be devastated. He is going to be so heartbroken. But I think he might keep it together. I actually think that he's going to be the winner for this one. And Jupiter is in Pisces. His North Node is in Pisces. So Jupiter gives a blessing and abundance to really anything. But at the same time, Herschel Walker is a Pisces, except the only difference is it's his sun sign. So this is a lot of like delusional ego. It's like, I think because I'm Herschel Walker, I can do it. I think it, but he also has Chiron there. So this may be coming from that wounded ego of some things he didn't accomplish in the past, that he's really pushing this. The other reason that I think that he's still in this is because he has a lot of Aquarius placements. And I mean the moon, Saturn, Mercury, Mars, Jupiter, all in Aquarius. It is a fixed sign. It is extremely stubborn. He just wouldn't give up.
Right.
He just won't give up. His North Node is in Leo to where Reverend Warnock's Sun and Mercury are in Leo. So this is really going to squash him. I feel like this is really like, this is not your time, sir. Like you're going to lose what you think you're supposed to do. It's kind of, and with so much in Aquarius opposite, I don't know what the score is right now. I don't know, but he's got Neptune in Scorpio. Reverend Warnock has that moon in Scorpio. This is going to be a major upset. This is going to shock him. Even to this moment, you guys, he doesn't believe that he's not going to win. Right. But I don't see him as the winner just based on the astrology. I see that he's going to get a wake-up call and that he really is going to have to go back to the drawing board on what it is that he offers to society and to the people.
Ooh, how
good luck
very
to him.
Interesting. That's really interesting. One of the things that we've been talking about, you mentioned that you get a lot of your news from Trevor Noah, and Yolanda and I were talking because she does too, and we were talking about seeing Reverend Warnock on Trevor Noah, and the energy seems kind of interesting in that it's very low right now, and so people are wondering if he's run out of steam. If he's not really believing in it. So that for those who are supporting Reverend Warnock, that's a really good sense of what's going to happen. Can you tell, because can you tell if there's going to be another runoff, like they're both going to win or they're both going to, tie, as it were, and then
that's very possible just because it's eclipse day and just because eclipses always shake things up. So that's very possible. I honestly think that Reverend Warnock is really just trying to keep it together. Like his Saturn is opposing his moon, and Saturn's like, you need to stay disciplined. You need to stay focused. This is hard work. And he might be a little bit tired. Maybe he's not getting kind of the praise that Leo needs. Like, I hope he's got like literal cheerleaders in the background. Like, you can do it. We believe in you. That's what would keep him through or push him through this. But I think he is really just trying to keep it together right now.
Yeah.
Like, really just, he's probably really frustrated and a little bit tired because the sun is squaring his sun, and he's really just trying to keep it together. So
I understand.
Whatever he can do to really feel good, and whoever makes him have, like, maybe even for the next week, or the rest of the week, have fun, be around children, feel carefree, like, try to take your mind off of that to where you're feeling applauded. That could kind of rejuvenate him for what's to come.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Are you watching any of this, Aprylete? Are you interested? Are you intrigued?
I wouldn't say that I'm not interested, but I'm not watching any of this. So I get all of my dose of news from you.
Okay. Well, that's a good source too.
Right.
Yolanda doesn't necessarily, get all of her news from the What You Need to Know newsletter, but I do think that Trevor Noah is a good second choice. Let's talk about the governor's race. This is really interesting in that this is Stacey Abrams. I'm talking about the governor's race in Georgia. This is Stacey Abrams' second attempt to run for Georgia governor. She lost by some 50,000 votes against Brian Kemp in the first go round, and people were very hopeful about her. The numbers do not look good if you are depending upon polling results. What do you see in terms of Stacey Abrams?
If she was my client and I was reading her chart, I would literally ask her, is this really what she wants to do?
Interesting.
Or if she is just doing this because this is what she's been doing and she doesn't necessarily want to lose, if you will. She is the chart of a college professor. This is the chart of an instructor, of a leader, but not necessarily in a political sense. She doesn't have anything in Capricorn, and she has Chiron in Aries, and then she's on this full moon. So her sun sign is Sag and her moon is Gemini, and Mars is in Gemini. These are mutable energies. These are planets that really want to move on, and it feels like she's kind of been doing this for a long time, and she is running out of steam, and she's not necessarily as interested as she was originally. And she has Jupiter in Aquarius. This is how she was able to garner all those votes and get all of the people, because Aquarius is all about the people, and Jupiter wants to expand that. But in 2020, Saturn went into Aquarius. So then it got hard. Then it got difficult. Then there's more boundaries. There's more walls. And so at this point, I honestly have to say, this doesn't feel as promising for me, but it feels a little bit like relief for her. If she wins, she'll be good. She'll do great. She's a Sagittarius. She's got a lot of wisdom, and she really cares about the people. I do believe that with that Gemini moon and Jupiter and Aquarius. I absolutely believe that. But if she doesn't win, I think she's going to be fine too. I think she's going to go on to be the dean somewhere, or be a high-ranking college professor somewhere, and that's where she's truly going to find her satisfaction. If she was my client, I would literally be like, so why are you doing this?
So what do you really want to do?
Wow.
Is this because this doesn't feel, it feels
doesn't
like
jive. It doesn't feel like a good match, huh?
It doesn't feel like a good match just based on this chart, but she can get people. Like, she would probably be one of the most popular professors, one of the classes that was constantly overflowing. Like, she would do great. In my mind, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Aquarius are the three wise men. She's got lots of Sagittarius energy, and then she's got Venus and Jupiter in Aquarius. So she's got two of the three placements. She's 2/3 a wise man.
Right. Well, somebody could use her in their campaign for sure.
Or part like a campaign, because as a Sag with a Gemini moon, like, getting different interests, like, those aren't placements that wants to stay the long haul for something. Those are placements that want to switch it up quite often.
Right. Yeah.
So
interesting.
Yeah, I don't think she'll be disappointed. We'll be more disappointed if she doesn't win. I don't think she'll be disappointed. I think she'll have a huge sigh of relief if she doesn't, honestly.
That's interesting. Because a lot of people are saying that not that she's run out of gas, but I have heard
she's
people
lost interest.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think
Exactly.
so. And it's okay. This is what I tell people. This is why you got to know your astrology. So I have a lot of mutable energy too. You're just going to start new things all the time.
Mm-hmm.
We need a season that takes us from fall to winter. We can't just go from beautiful autumn weather to now it's 30 degrees. We
Right.
got to transition, and that's what Sag and Gemini and Virgo and Pisces do for us. They transition us. So she got people voting, she got people aware, she got her name out there. Now it's time to move on to be a college professor because
Yeah.
that's actually where she belongs.
Wow.
So a professor or the president of a college? Because I mean, it's very easy
Something
for
like that. Something very
like
much in the
going back
college
to
realm.
Spelman.
Right. Very much in the college realm, very much where she's able to impart her knowledge onto other people. It's not necessarily about making the rules and like implementing rules and policies and that kind of thing. It's so much more about sharing what she knows and what she's learned and just this wisdom that's just there. She just has it.
Wow, really interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, this is
Yeah.
good stuff. Okay.
Really
Yeah.
good.
All right. One of the other
too.
races, I'm very interested in the races in which Black folks are going for some of the highest positions in the country. And the United States Senate in Florida, Val Demings is a congresswoman now going for the Senate, and her opponent is, as Donald Trump would call him, Little Marco Rubio. And so many of us saw the debate and really believe in her energy and her great ideas, and she's gotten a lot of support for this. But and she is also feeling the effects of Florida, where the Hispanic vote is very strong, and wondering if the Black vote and the white vote is going to lift her to that degree that she needs to
It's funny
win.
because she's a Pisces also. And then I talked about, okay, Herschel Walker's a Pisces. That's a delusional sign. The difference is, though, where her Mars is. So she has Mars, which is our action, our excitement, like what we're really ready to go after. Hers is in Taurus. And the North Node is currently in Taurus. And so she's really like about her purpose, about her business. And it actually makes a really good aspect to her Sun and her Mercury and her Venus, which are all in Pisces. These are all good planets in Pisces. Mars loves to be in Earth signs because it makes things happen. And then with it being in Uranus, which is Uranus is also in Taurus. This is the planet that shakes things up. So this could be the action that she has taken, the excitement, the energy that she has brought is really shaking things up for her, or for the people around her. And then she's got Jupiter and Virgo. She's a hard worker. And so like she's somebody that's really going to go get it. This chart is actually way more encouraging to me. And I don't know like the rest of it. She's got a North Node in Scorpio. So this eclipse, all of this is happening in Scorpio. I feel very optimistic about her chart. I feel like she probably took a loss once before, and because she has got that Chiron in Aquarius. So there was something before where she felt really disappointed and like, dang, I got to make this right. And now she's having the opportunity to take those hard lessons that she learned, because Saturn is now in Aquarius, to be like, okay, let's do it. So this is a lot more promising. This chart actually makes me excited. I would actually be willing to, and she's got that Leo moon. And remember I said there's a lot of Leo energy showing up in these candidates. She's got that Leo moon. And so I'm actually really excited about this one and encouraged in her chart, and think that she actually really stands a chance.
Wow. Any questions, Aprylete? I didn't ask you about the Georgia because I know you just moved from there. Did you
No,
have any questions about those candidates?
No, I don't have any questions. I actually had a chance to meet Stacey on a photo shoot. I did a production for a photo shoot that she was in. And I was just remembering just her energy on set and just the things that she said and stuff. So just kind of remembering that time and then listening to her chart and things like that. I'm like, that makes a lot of sense. Just how her energy was. Like she had it, but she definitely seemed like, I'm okay. It just was
for Stacey Abrams or Val Demings?
For Stacey.
Yeah.
So I was just
she's
thinking about that. But yeah, no questions. Anyway. I'm just soaking it all in because it's a lot.
This is really interesting, especially as we're looking at Black women. Val Demings has been a number of firsts. She was the first Black police chief there in Orlando, Florida. Her husband is now the mayor of Orange County, and so that's how they met on the police force. But being the first Black woman to represent that Central Florida in the United States Congress, and now going to be what could be only the third Black woman in the United States Senate.
She
That's
absolutely could do it. This chart is really set up for it. I just hope that she's just staying because she's got so much Pisces energy that she's, and I think that she is because it's a great Mars, it's a great Jupiter. I just hope that she's really staying practical, if you will, like
Yeah.
doing the practical steps on a daily basis to really make it happen. So this is a great chart. I think she's here to shake some things up. I love a lot of first stuff because it's happening.
Yeah. I think that that's the sense I got from you, is that this is going to be something that's going to shake things up. Another woman who is hoping to be only the third Black woman in the United States Senate is Sherry Beasley. She is a former state Supreme Court justice from North Carolina. She is running for the U.S. Senate, hoping to continue the change of the color of North Carolina from blue, if not to purple, from one to the other. And so she is an interesting candidate as well. I was wondering if you had anything on her.
This one looks good as well. The only thing that I would kind of warn is because she has Jupiter in Gemini and we have that Mars in Gemini. I'm just hoping that she's been watching her words lately and not over talking or over speaking or oversharing. And then she's got that Sagittarius moon. So that is a placement that just can't keep a secret. I always tell people, if you want somebody to keep a secret, tell my sister. Don't tell me because I'm not good with secrets. I'm just not. We got to know ourselves. And so, but this could be somebody who could just really like overspeak and have just a lot to say. So I just would kind of make sure that she's just sticking to her talking points. And she's got this Aquarius sun, but she also has a lot of placements in Pisces. So Mercury, Mars, Saturn, and her Chiron there. So that again, Chiron and Pisces is making me think like, are you watching your words? Like that you're making sure you're not saying things that would hurt yourself. Because Pisces can oftentimes be the sign that contributes to their own self undoing. So it's like making sure you're not like shooting yourself in the foot. This one's a little, I would probably pull tarot cards for her just to kind of get a little bit more. This isn't as clear to me because it's going to kind of depend on what she's been saying, her words, and how she's able to manage that. And then also with all this Pisces energy, are you staying really practical as well? Are you sticking to the plan? Don't go off script, Miss Beasley. Right. This is not the time for that. Follow the speech that your writers put together for you. Like stick to the script.
I think she's good for that because she is a Supreme Court justice. And so she knows how to parse her words and knows, you know, when she's making judgments and things like that, the right way to present her judgment. And so
Mars doesn't do a retrograde. It only retrogrades every 2 years. Okay. So she may have been really good for the last couple of years of keeping it together, but she only finds herself in that frustrating or not able to every once in a while. And this is that once in a while.
That was just hopeful thinking on my part.
She knocked that down. She said, wait a minute.
You keep hope alive, but I will tell you the real of what's going on and what's happening in the stars. Absolutely. Absolutely. This guy is really interesting to me. We have not had a chance to talk to him, but I am fascinated by his campaign. Right. He has tried to run for the U.S. Congress. He is now running for the U.S. Senate in Louisiana. And he announced his candidacy by smoking a joint on social media. And because that is a part of his campaign. His name is Gary Chambers. And for those who don't know, check him out. He's a young guy and is taking on the establishment in Louisiana, which is very interesting in itself. Right. What can you tell us about this race?
I just don't see it. And it's just not the time. And this is simply because Saturn is in Aquarius. He has Jupiter in Aquarius. So although Jupiter does want to give him acknowledgement around his peers, Saturn is just not going to let it happen right now. So, Jupiter wants to bless you and give you abundance and expansion. I always say Jupiter's like that favorite uncle that just comes and gives you candy and gives you money. And you're like, oh, he's here. But Saturn is that grandfather. It's like, no. He didn't do what he was supposed to do. You're not giving him that money. You're not giving him that candy. Saturn is still able to tell your favorite uncle no. And so although the people like him and, he is popular because his Jupiter is in Aquarius and he's a Leo and he's got Mars there and Mercury there, Saturn is just saying, no, I don't think you've put in enough work. I don't think you've matured enough. I don't think you've grown enough. And then his Saturn is natally squares his North Node and his Jupiter. This I'm gonna go with no for him. As much as I like him, and I'm super advocate for, you know, the marijuana laws being passed and loosened, and I don't think anybody should go to jail for that.
Right.
I genuinely don't. I just don't see that in his chart.
Interesting.
And I've said this before. Remember, I remember that show we were with Dr. Wallace, and he was like, "What can he do?" And I was like, I mean, he could be around older people, and not right now, especially not with Saturn on his Jupiter. It's just, I just don't think, and Saturn opposing his sun sign, just not right now. You can try it again in a couple more years. I just don't think right now it's going to happen for him. Yeah.
Well, okay. So the last of our high-profile Black candidates is Mandela Barnes. He is the lieutenant governor of the state of Wisconsin. He is running for the U.S. Senate. Wondering your thoughts on him. He's having a rough time. For a while, he was doing very well in the polls, and now he is running neck and neck with Ron Johnson, who is a very conservative Trump supporter in Wisconsin.
Yeah, he's a Sag sun and Sag moon, and Saturn is there as well. So this again goes back to, is this really what you want to do? Are you just fighting because you just been fighting? Like, are you seriously? And then he's got that Mercury in Scorpio, so it's very hard for him to give up. Like this, it's supposed to go this way. This doesn't. And then he's got Chiron and Gemini. I'm going to go with no for him also. Just with Mars there, there's just maybe something that he said that just rubbed the people the wrong way, or cause maybe a little bit of conflict, or that's just not working. And then he's got Jupiter in Pisces right now, and again, that Pisces, all these things like you're hopeful for, I just don't see that really happening right now. And at the same time, this isn't even necessarily a chart of somebody who should be in that kind of position. This is another teacher with the Sag sun and moon there. This is another somebody that should be like scholastic type energy, somebody that brings that kind of deep thinking energy. Like this isn't necessarily.
I wonder if you would have said the same thing about President Obama back in the day.
He's a Leo, so they're more fixed energy. They more stay with it. And even though his moon is in Gemini, which is like say one thing and then something else will happen maybe later, still that Leo in him sticks to the things that bring him pride and bring him joy and his reputation and his image. Right. So like, that's why there was no scandals with him. Like that's why there was none of that, because he kept it together too well and he was never going to sway from that. But I would have probably thought that Obama during that time was ready for president. Yeah. Because he had already gone through his Saturn return. He wasn't having any harsh oppositions from Saturn or anything like that.
Yeah, he seemed to move pretty well through that. Okay, so this is the race. Me too. This is the race that has garnered the attention of Democrats, of Republicans, of people around the country in terms of politics and conversations. And this is the U.S. Senate race for Pennsylvania. They are seeking to fill a seat vacated by the former Republican senator there, John Fetterman, who the Democrat who suffered a stroke about 6 months ago, and against the carpetbagger and Trump endorsed Dr. Mehmet Oz, the TV doctor.
So John Fetterman is a Leo, and he's got Saturn in Taurus. He's got Mars in Sagittarius, which that means Gemini is opposite from his Mars. For me, he looks really good. And he's got a lot of Virgo energy, Mercury, Moon, Pluto. That's a hard worker. That's somebody that's thought about the details. And with his North Node in Pisces, it's like he's maybe, especially if he's got somebody on his team that like believes in like ritual stuff, like if he has a mom that's like praying and burning candles and stuff like that, that can also really contribute to his win. And then when I look at who he's up against, so Dr. Oz is a Gemini with Virgo. I mean, he's got Venus in Gemini as well, and Mars is there. Listen, Mars is retrograde. He's about to see how much we just think that he's all over the place. He's childish. He's immature. He doesn't know he's to and fro. Because the Gemini can go, they're the twins, right? So it's a little bit of this, a little bit of that. You don't know what you're going to get. And now with Mars there, even in the next few days, I wouldn't be surprised if he like said something that you're like, wait, what? Right. Or backtracks on something that he said before, or changes his mind about something, and everybody's gonna be like, I'm over it. I'm done with this. Nope. So I also think too, the reason that he stayed in this, he has a Capricorn moon and Saturn is in Capricorn. He just can't give up. He just Capricorn. They think they're the best. They like to be like Jesus was a Capricorn. I'm like, no, he wasn't. Okay, well, we end the year and start the year. I'm like, whatever.
We
like,
know Jesus was a Pisces.
Jesus was a Pisces, you guys. So it's like, to just feel like he just refuses to give up.
And he has kind of a smarminess to him now on the campaign trail that I didn't see so much. I wasn't a real big fan of the TV show, but I watched him when he was initially on Oprah. And kind of he smirks and kind of smarmy and doesn't have a real genuine sense of himself in presenting.
He's a Gemini.
He's a Gemini.
And a lot of times they're just this way and that way. They'll say what they feel like they need to say to fit in this moment and to get along with people. But what he doesn't realize with Mars there right now, he's going to say the wrong thing and has the potential to upset people.
Got it. Okay, so now this is perfectly selfish. This has to do with the governor's race in Texas.
I know. I'm with you. I'm in Texas too. I'm in Texas too.
So Beto O'Rourke, who has run for a number of races, has not been successful. He's run for the U.S. Senate against Ted Cruz. He's run for president. He didn't get very far with that in 2020, and now he is running for governor against the two-term governor, and that is Greg Abbott.
So as much as I do like Beto O'Rourke, and of course we do, he's a Libra. People like Libras. They seem fair and they balance, and he's got a lot of planets there. The thing about it is Greg Abbott is a Scorpio. He's got people, he's in people's pocket, or he's got people, he's got power through resources and money and business people. Like, this isn't even necessarily about the majority. This is more about like power and control and money. Like that's the one thing about Scorpios, man. They got a pull on you. And so he's got a lot of planets there. And then he also has Mercury in Sagittarius. So he knows how to talk to people, and he knows how to talk to those people that have contributed to his campaign and that are, able to have a lot more influence. Talk to them in a way that puts something on their mind that either enlightens them or scares them, because he's a Scorpio. So it's like a little bit of a threat. Don't get me wrong, I love Scorpios. They're very good investigators. They're very good people to trust with your secrets, but they also have the potential to be very manipulating. And I think this is why he's been able to be in office for so long with all of this Scorpio energy. So as much as I would love to see O'Rourke, I just actually don't see it happening. And I actually see Greg Abbott having to die out of office, quite honestly.
Wow. Wow. Interesting. Wow. Okay. Well, you've given us a lot to think about.
Yeah. Did we tally that? We're going to come back and see how accurate she was.
Okay. We are going to come back and do this. I promise. And we're not going to wait till the next time that you're scheduled to come on. It's just really a lot to think about. It really is.
But I think the main thing that us as individuals need to really think about is Scorpio season. So dig deep as to why you are really choosing who you're choosing. Go inward. Shut out everybody else. Scorpio is very private. Find out privately why you support your candidates. Of course, get out there and vote. We all know that it's Saturn is in Aquarius. The vote matters more now. But when we go to these polling sites, keep your mouth quiet. We're not arguing with people, because there does have the potential to be a lot of violence in polling sites, specifically if they are at schools or places where young people or people go on a daily basis. So I would say that's kind of what we need to remember when we're out voting. And
stick to the touch.
Stick to the touch. And one thing I do want to remember, our kids that turn 18 are ready to vote.
Yes. Yep.
So I already told myself, okay, we voting, let's go. I'll take you out to get ice cream afterwards.
Everybody's happy.
Exactly.
That's awesome. That is awesome. All right. So let us move to a couple of trending topics. This is a part of what we discussed earlier. Paul Pelosi, who is the husband of the Democratic House Speaker, Nancy Pelosi, has been released from the hospital. I was surprised at the speed with which this has happened, because it's less than a week. He had surgery for a skull fracture. Skull fracture as a result of this.
Oh my God, Sybil. Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off.
No,
He's Aries. Aries rules the head. He's an Aries, and Aries right now is going to be susceptible to a little bit more violence and those kind of things. Really, because Chiron is there and a hurt to the head. So Aries, protect your head.
Ooh.
Even headaches, migraines, head injuries, those kind of things. And with Mars and Gemini right now, it could be like this. I walk this way every day. I drive this way every day. I do the same thing every day. And now you're hitting your head, getting attacked, finding yourself in more violent situations.
Right.
Wow.
Specifically, Aries and Gemini too are going to be the top ones.
That is really interesting. 82 years old,
Wow.
suffers a skull fracture as a result of a hammer from the intruder into their home.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and he also had injury to his arm and his hands, but the skull fracture at 82, that's just
and then being released in less than a week.
in a week. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. His wife says that he remains under doctor's care as he continues to progress on the long recovery process and convalesce. He's now home and surrounded by his family who request privacy. The man who is alleged, who has been charged with it, attempted murder, assault with a deadly weapon, elder abuse, residential burglary, false imprisonment, and threatening a public official in connection to the Friday attack. He has pleaded not guilty to those charges in court this week. There's also, I'm not laughing. It's just so weird. This whole thing is just so bizarre. There is also talk of him being sent back to, he's from British Columbia. And so there's talk about them shipping him back to British Columbia because he's been here. He was here on a green card and that expired. And so he stayed and stayed and stayed and stayed and stayed.
Yeah, he might be shipped back.
Yeah, he could be. I don't know. I think they're going to make him stand and make an example of this. But what's really quizzical in all of this, ladies, is that the Republicans have tried to make such a joke of this, that they've laughed about it. Even Elon Musk has alleged that there was something going on in the house and between the two men, and it's crazy. This whole thing is really crazy. It's just bananas.
Yeah. Well, we have to remember the U.S. is going through its first Pluto return, so we have a lot of crazy things happening, a lot of changes happening, and Pluto will destroy things in order to change it. So
Pluto will do that. So, Ms. Astrology, let me ask you this. We are coming to the end of daylight saving time. Does that have any effect on us as astrologically? We get an hour back, so we fall back in the fall. And this is Saturday night, Sunday morning at 2 a.m. You wait till 2 o'clock and then you push your clock back. And we get off of daylight saving time. Does that have a daylight saving time and returning to standard time? Does that have anything?
Can I just start by saying I hate daylight savings time? Like, I hate changing it. And I'll tell you why, because I noticed with my plants where they sit in the window, the sun rises there. And I noticed it moves a little bit naturally on its own. It's naturally getting dark sooner. So why are we messing with the time? Like, why are we messing with this kind of thing? Well, astrologically speaking, when your time of birth, we use a very standard Greenwich time. So it doesn't adjust when somebody, so you can put in your time in any database of astrology, and it's going to adjust it to the Greenwich standard time that does not include falling back or springing forward. So it doesn't necessarily change anything astrologically.
So anybody who's born Saturday night, Sunday morning, and as the clock is going back, it's all Greenwich time. So it doesn't have anything to do
it's all Greenwich time. Exactly. We're not really, we're letting the people do that. I hate daylight. Yes, I hate it too. And it does have a really harsh effect on your body. I don't understand why.
It really does.
Well, also the sun thing does. I just ordered some light bulbs for my for the studio, for my office here, because they say that the light has an effect on your seasonal affective disorder or whatever it is,
and especially our melanin. I think that we need sunlight, and I know that a lot of us like to stay out of the sun. Oh, it's hot. Oh, it's bright. That kind of stuff. Just sit out there early in the morning. Do some sun gazing, let your body take it in, let your eyes take it in. It's really 20 minutes a day will really be a life changer for all of us.
And the vitamin D and all of that really works for the good. Yeah,
absolutely.
Okay, let's move to entertainment. And this may or may not be entertaining for some people, and people may be like, I've had enough of this guy. And I think, you know, I'm talking about
Kanye
Kanye.
West.
Yeah.
No, Kanye. The Gemini.
Yeah. Kanye
Mhm.
could be in trouble as he tries to sell his White Lives Matter shirts in this country, because that phrase has been trademarked by two black men.
I saw that. I saw that. First of all, they're little geniuses.
How great is that? Two guys named Ramses Ja and Quentin Ward, host of the radio show Civic Cipher, legally got the rights to the phrase last month, telling folks that it's all about making sure it doesn't end up in the wrong hands.
Absolutely.
Ooh,
Exactly.
and not just genius, but genius with a purpose.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Love it.
So
Kanye is a prime example of Geminis getting in trouble with their mouth.
With their
Remember, Mars is in Geminis. It's retrograde. We need to reconsider what we're saying.
Yeah.
This is easy fights, easy disagreements, breaking of agreements and contracts. So this is a prime example of Geminis really needing to sit down somewhere right now. This is not the best energy for you guys until January, quite honestly. So
somebody's got to feed him something, though, something medicinally, in order to make him sit down.
To make him relax.
But he's got a Pisces moon that makes a square. That's delusion. He doesn't even understand. Like, he's very emotion driven. He doesn't. Yeah. So good luck to Kanye and any other Geminis.
So check this out. The trademark was originally acquired by an anonymous listener of the radio show of these gentlemen. They have a racial justice show, filing it the same day that Kanye wore his controversial outfit during Paris Fashion Week. And the listener transferred ownership to the gentleman of the show, the host of the show.
Okay.
Nice.
How great is that?
Yeah.
First of all, I'm so angry about the whole White Lives Matter. I'm not thinking business way.
Right.
I'm emotional.
Right.
And so I'm not thinking clearly, and like, damn, that would be a great thing to trademark. And this guy did, and transferred it to these gentlemen. And they said it was a tough call to take the trademark, but added, once it was clear that someone stood to gain significant profit from it. Because as you've seen, even though Kanye says some really hurtful, divisive, and sometimes crazy things, he has a bit of a zealot following. And every time he releases something, it sells out.
Yeah.
I'm sure these young men have Aquarius placements. You cannot tell me they don't. They got something that's like very logical and just smart and like business savvy that has no emotions about it. Like, we're all riled up because our emotions, where Aquarius is not a very emotional sign. We love you, Yolanda.
Dang it, Yolanda, why didn't we think of this? Why didn't you say, hey, got an idea?
She was annoyed with Kanye.
Or Ward White, you're a fine businessman and a lawyer. Come on, let's make some money out of this. Thank you so much, ladies, for joining us. It's been really interesting, and I'm so glad we were able to do this, Ms. Astrology, as always.
Thank you so much.
You are wonderful and a great addition, and we appreciate your friendship as well as your brilliance and expertise. So
and go Stros.
Okay, go Dusty.
Yes.
I can't say that for the Astros, but I am a Dusty Baker fan as an old Chicago Cubs fan. So
okay, well, I'm here in Houston, so go Stros.
Thank you so much. We're going to close out with our daily inspiration, Yogi's Jewel. We are more powerful when we empower others.
Nice.
Right.
Yeah. That could go for some of the candidates that we've discussed here tonight as well. Thanks, ladies. We appreciate it. Have a wonderful week. Go out there and be good to each other. Don't forget to vote, please.
Vote. Absolutely.
And fall back an hour. See y'all later. Take care.
Okay.
Aloha.